next one I actually don't have a copy of, and that is Cemetery Boys. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with some books that I would like to read this fall. So I'm not someone who usually does like seasonal TBRs as far as like TBR videos. I do a monthly TBR. Doesn't make a lot of sense for me to do seasonal TBRs as well. However, fall is quickly, as I've said before, quickly becoming one of my favorite seasons, and it's definitely the season that I have a specific type of book that I like to read. And there are definitely books that I put off reading until this season. And there are definitely books that I put off for Christmas as well. There are definitely books that I do in the summer that I put off for the summer. However, this is the biggest chunk of my books, is the ones that I put off for fall. So I thought I would just talk you through some of the books that I am the most excited to get to this fall. Some of these you will have seen already because they are on my September TBR, but these are just kind of a handful of books that I want to get to in September, October, and maybe some in November if I've got time. I will be participating in a month-long readathon, so we'll see if I could squeeze some in there. But yeah, I've got 15 to show you. These are pretty much top of my TBR. But yeah, let's just get into it. The first show I'm going to do together, because they are by the same author, and that is Agatha Christie. So we've got And Then There Were None, and then also Halloween Party. So you will have seen And Then There Were None. I'm definitely planning on doing this one in September, and then obviously I had to wait for Halloween Party to be an October read. Halloween makes sense to me. Now this one is not a Hercule Poirot book. I'm pretty sure it's the only one I have that's not part of that series. She's written many others beyond, you know, him as the inspector, but I have a lot of his. And this one basically just follows, I think there are 11 strangers, maybe 10 strangers, who are asked to come to this house, mansion, on a deserted island. They're all brought here for some specific reason, and then they're all killed off one by one based on this nursery rhyme, and they're trying to figure out who's doing it, what is happening. This one is one of, I think, I would say one of her most well-known ones, so I wanted to give it a shot. Sound perfect, so we're going to be reading that one at some point. And then obviously Halloween Party, again, the name says everything. This one is a Hercule Poirot novel, and I think he just gets asked to come to this Halloween party and someone dies, and he has to solve the mystery. But it's Halloween. The next one I'm hoping to get to is God and Monsters by Shelby Maherin. This is the third and final in her Serpent and Dove series, which is a series that follows Lou, who is a witch, and Reed, who is a witch hunter, and based on some of the circumstances in the first book, they are forced to get married. And obviously, Reed, being the witch hunter, does not know that Lou is a witch, and it's just the two of them. And so I've read the last two in October, without fail. I read Blooded Honey last year and Serpent and Dove the year before that, so it just feels right to read this one in October, but also that witchy vibe. It definitely gives me kind of that fall Halloween witchiness to it. So I'm not sure what we're going to get into with this one, but I did love the first one so much, and I've heard good things about this one. And I know this is the author's favorite, so definitely want to give it a chance and finish off the series, because let me tell you, there was a cliffhanger at the last one. There was a cliffhanger. The next one I feel like is very similar to And Then There Were None, and that is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is very similar, I say, because it's a bunch of people who get kind of stuck or brought to this island. However, in this one, it's because of a wedding, and then I think someone does not survive the night. So it's that kind of creepy, eerie thriller aspect of it. I don't know really what I'm getting into with this. I believe we follow multiple POVs, so that will be interesting. But yeah, it just gives me those creepy vibes, especially because it's a island in the middle of nowhere, and I'm pretty sure there's probably not going to be very good cell reception. So, you know, you've got that added to it. And just this cover, you know, it just kind of gives me that creepy, eerie vibe. So, and also thriller. The next one is another one you will have seen, because I'm planning on reading it in September, hopefully, and that is The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This is also on here because of the witchy vibe to it. It follows this college where there's a bunch of sororities, and one of the sororities, the only people who can be in it are witches and descendants of witches. So, like, I don't think the other people on the campus know that about them, but if you're in it, then you know why you're in it. And so I think we follow this girl who's a witch. and pledges for them. Or is asked to pledge for them because of her, you know, ancestry. But it just feels spooky, you know? It's a very contemporary setting for that spooky witchy feel. It does feel perfect for like the beginning of fall because you've got that back to school vibe, but also kind of that witchy vibe. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. I bought it a year in advance just to wait until this time. Alright, the next two I'm going to do together. I cannot freaking speak today. The next two we're going to do together, and that is Spark and Scar, both by Alice Broadway. These are 2 and 3, and the Skin Books series, I believe is what it's called. The first one is Ink. They are super shiny. I do apologize. But I loved the first one, and I kind of read it at this time of year, this October time, so it feels really kind of perfect. It's kind of this dystopian fantasy story, but it follows this world where people get tattoos for everything. Any big life event, anything that happens in your life, you get a tattoo for it, and then when you die, your tattoos are made into this book, and it's the book of your life, and that's kind of how you remember. That's kind of the afterlife of this world. And based on the types of tattoos that you are given or that you get, it's determined whether you will be put into a book and remembered, or whether or not your book will be burnt and you will be forgotten. And so it follows our main girl whose father dies at the beginning of the book, and a very interesting tattoo is found on him, one that's not very good. And so it just ended very abruptly, I feel like the first one did, as far as like, I can't wait to see where the story goes. Had to get 2 and 3 in this series, very excited about it. Hopefully they'll be as good as the first one. The next one I actually don't have a copy of, and that is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Now, this one came out last year, and I almost read it for fall, but I just couldn't squeeze it in. So I'm hoping to do it this year. I've been putting it off so that I can read it during the fall. But it definitely has that kind of witchy vibe, because I think our main character is trans. He wants to be a brujo. Everyone else does not see him as such, and so he wants to prove his worth, and he tries to bring back the kind of ghost of his ancestor, but that doesn't work out in his favor because he ends up bringing back the ghost of kind of the bad boy at his school. And I really want to say it's like a love story between them, which I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'm excited. I have not read anything by this author, but everything that they have come out with sounds incredible. So I'm really excited to give their debut a shot, even though it's been like a year and they definitely have another book out. But, you know, you get better late than never. So that's what I'm going to go with. Also, Cemetery is in the title, and I just feel like the ghosty bringing back to life cemetery aspect of it is very, you know, spooky fall season. The next one is another mystery, and that is Pride and Premonition. This one I've seen everywhere, but it just sounds great. It's a murder mystery where Darcy and Lizzie solve the mystery. I feel like that's right, because I feel like Lizzie is trying to solve a mystery and Darcy is one of the lawyers on this case. But obviously it's a, you know, Pride and Prejudice retelling or reimagining, but in mystery thriller, maybe not so much thriller, but that kind of genre. But it looks great. I love the cover, and it's a mystery, and to me, fall is mystery time. I would also like to get to Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This one I tried putting on my September TBR, so we'll see if I actually get around to it. But this one is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it follows this village where girls are kind of sent to be given to this kind of wizard called the Dragon. And our main character is given this year. All voluntarily they are given because they are brought back, and apparently when they get brought back, it's like everything's chill and cool. And so it's her time to go to said dragon. I've never read anything by Naomi Novik before, but I've heard great things about her writing. And also I've heard that like the forest and kind of atmospheric outside of this book is perfect for the fall. So yeah, I'm really excited. And also this cover, I don't know, like it just kind of screams fall to me. The next one is another mystery, and that is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This has kind of been described to me as like Knives Out, but it's this girl who I think doesn't know this person, and then the person basically gives her a bunch of trials to win this inheritance, and so his ancestors, or not his ancestors, his kind of heirs and descendants are very not happy about this, but I loved Knives Out, so I'm very excited about this one. This one just feels perfect. So the next one is actually, I feel like, very obviously why it's fall, and that is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This is a graphic novel about a werewolf and a vampire who fall in love. I've heard great things about this, and I decided to finally pick up a copy. It's really pretty. It's this kind of like leather, not leather, but like it's cloth bound. That's what I'm trying to say. It's cloth bound. It's also been sprayed black, and also just kind of like the illustrations are pretty great. I've read the first couple of pages just to see what I was getting into, and it's hilarious. So it's definitely kind of like a light-hearted book, but because it's vampires, it gives me that fall vibe. So I'm really hoping to get to it in October. I think it would be perfect, especially around Halloween. But it just looks like fun, you know? And I want to give it a shot. I really do. I think it's going to be great. The next one is one that I'm not sure if I'll actually get around to, but I would like to, and that is Sleepy Hollow. This one specifically is Sleepy Hollow and other stories by Washington Irving, but I've never actually read the story of Sleepy Hollow. I've only ever read, or not read, but I've only ever kind of like heard snippets, so I know the gist of the story, but I don't actually think I've read the story. And all of these are kind of spookier stories, but I would like to read Sleepy Hollow specifically. So if I get to the rest, great. If not, I would just like to read Sleepy Hollow. It feels perfect. It's definitely one of the stories that many people kind of bring up at this time of year, so I'd like to understand and know why. The next one is this one, which is Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. This is a Jane Eyre retelling, which first off, Jane Eyre is also perfect for this time of year. It's very gothic, very creepy vibes to it. This is if she was a murderer. A reimagining of Jane Eyre as a gutsy, heroic serial killer. I don't know what I'm getting into, but it sounds great. It's definitely a historic book, so it is still historically set, just like Jane Eyre is. I mean, when it was written, it wasn't historically, but you know what I mean. But it's just, I don't know, that it's got that twist. It's got that reimagining with a twist that I love, and this just feels perfect. Like murder mystery, serial killerness. I need to know more. And the last one is one that the copy of this book has not made it to me yet, but it's coming in the next couple of days, and I'm so excited. And that is Lord of Eternal Night by Ben Alderson. So this book, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I do know it's a gay vampire story. Romance. All I needed to know. But it's the most recent one by this author. I have collected basically all of his books at this point. Have I read any of them? No, but we are going to change that in September. I'm going to read one of his books in September, dang it. So the hope is for this one, because it gives me that vampire, you know, story, which to me, vampires feel very fall. But honestly, anything he's written gives me a fall vibe. There's mages, there's dragons. He's got an entire series about elves, but they all have kind of like a gay LGBT twist to it. And I just love that idea of having that in fantasy settings. So I'm really excited about this one. It's out, so by God, please go get it. But it sounds so good. So honestly, this is at the top of this list at this point. I don't know why I put it last, because it's at the top. And that's it. Those are the books that I would love to get to this fall. Kind of that spooky fantasy / thriller mystery vibe. That's just kind of, that's the vibe I go for. I do not like scary spooky. I like very light spook / a little bit of unsettling, but not too much, you know? So if you got any good recommendations for fall books, let me know those down below. Obviously, we need this TBR to just continue to grow, but I would love to know some of the books that you are planning on reading the next couple of months. Are you like me? You kind of hoard books for the fall? Let me know some of yours if that's the case. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media as well as other fun bookish links down there, so don't forget to check all of those out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!